if you guys seen on the news this whole event with this Chinese balloon, which is kind of strange and odd to me, by a nuclear site. And then I've been seeing a lot of subliminal messages on my phone about bombings and different numerologies that I've posted, and explosions and all types of matters of chaos. I find this whole Chinese balloon thing to be a little bit strange, that it's above a nuclear site. And speaking on Chinese, right? Like, even speaking on myself is sad to say, but at times I be feeling a sense of identity loss. Like, I grew up with a mother who was Jamaican and a father who supposedly is a Cuban, and I find it strange that it's like it's just so much strange things that have been happening that it's like sometimes I feel as if I've lost I don't even know my own nationality or my own identity sometimes, because of all the strange things that I see and I deal with on a daily. But also, ever since this COVID, I've been dealing with so much craziness, and I feel like COVID, in the beginning of COVID, I have read my Bible. I was studying the Bible a lot, got into spirituality. There's a certain reason. I just felt like I just felt my life was like hard, and just going through certain things in my life, situations with relationship wise and failed relationships, and so many things, like, and just depression, just going through things growing up. And I reached a point where some have occurred in my life. Was in a relationship with a woman and had a child with her. I believe it was my child or not, but it didn't go well, and things just took a turn for the worse. But in that process, I've made certain decisions, but also in making those decisions, I have turned to the Bible, because I was just trying to get right. We all grew up to learn. We all grew up to learn about God and Christianity and the church, and how God is the place where you go. Like, God's the one you turn to when you want to change and all these things. So I find myself in a hard place, and I turn to God, trying to repent, like trying to change, and turn to God. I, 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 I it became like, it's like I had a spiritual awakening. I had like a spiritual awakening, like some reason I felt as if like the light in me lit up. It just lit up, and I turned to God, and it was like amazing. It was amazing, but it's like a bittersweet thing, because at that time I gained a lot of knowledge, and it was like a great awakening for myself, but it also took a turn for the worse also in a way, because it's like, I think with everything with spirituality, you have to have preparation. You have to be prepared for these type of things. You have to like know what you're doing. Also, you have to have a certain level of wisdom and knowledge, which I've gained along the way. But sometimes it's like you learn certain things when it's too late. But I throughout this whole thing, I realized that it's so much you have to learn, because I've learned all that I've learned, but then it was a whole lot that I have seen and a whole lot that I have been through that really, it kind of made me turn away from God, because I believe I became confused, and still today I still question God. I question God. I question certain things, because I just feel like, why is life the way that it is, and why is it why is it so evil sometimes? Like, you just think of it like all the things that occur, like we have weapons in the world, no firepower, all these things, guns, bombs, and people get killed daily. And then God exists and he's supposed to be good. So why do these people, why these guns exist? How come God can't just, come take the guns away and all these things, you know? So I just, it's like, I find myself in a high state of spirituality, but I also find myself dealing with many temptations, and many temptations coming across my way, and I gave in to many temptations. But I also noticed that it's like, besides the temptations that I have given to, it's that this world, it's like, it's questionable. It's questionable. Everything, you have to question everything. Like, for example, spirituality. I used to look at spirituality as if spirituality was just something of the unseen, like, just a spiritual realm or something like that, and that's is where God exists, in the spiritual realm, heaven and hell, and all these things are spiritual realm. But then there's more to the concept of the unseen. Like, the unseen could be something as simple as your brain. Like, you wake up, you look through your eyes, and you don't see your brain. Nobody necessarily can see their own brain, You can't see your organs and stuff like that. So when someone be like unseen realm, it could go as to your brains, your organs that you can't see, because you can't see your organs. You can see your body, but you cannot see your organs. You can't see what's inside of you. So that's another interesting aspect about the whole unseen realm, And then there's parts where people say your pineal gland, the gland that is located within your brain, you know, it's like a spiritual thing, or some people, there's a whole bunch of theories out there of becoming enlightened, and that's all through the mind and the brain, and one becoming powerful, one being able to deal on the level of universal, unseen, and your brain being connected to the universe, and you being as powerful, because they say, like, all is God, nature, all is God. So you being made out of nature, the dust of the ground, you would be as of a God, But it all still, it's all questions I still ask, like the whole concept of who, who, where did intelligence come from, And because some would just say evolution, as people just evolve, you know. But I always thought of consciousness and questioning consciousness of where did consciousness come from, one to be conscious, because when you grow up as a baby, you learn from others, like your parents. You learn from your parents, or you learn from peers and those amongst you, and you learn certain things, and that's where you gained consciousness and awareness. But the early ancestors before our parents, who have taught them what they know, there must be one who taught them. And how did they become so advanced into knowledge? You know, if one will say that it's evolution, and I look at evolution more as a physical matter, and the unseen realm is not physical. It would be like the force of energy, or some say energy, spirit, you know, and all these things. Like, this will be the unseen realm, is where you don't see, like when someone dies and become a ghost, or their spirit, or the Holy Ghost, and all these things. So I look at it. I look at it as not necessarily understanding certain aspects of all of this spirituality. Like, there's so much to learn, and it's like sometimes we take on spiritual matters without being educated or guided by one who have learned and knows well. But not only that, is that some people know spiritual matters, but sometimes you can't necessarily trust in others for spiritual matters or spiritual teaching, because they can misguide you, so sometimes you have to seek out for yourself. But seeking out for yourself also could be detrimental, and then one would be like, we seek God, but then you think to yourself, it's just like, if God is good, then why certain evils exist? Like the devil exists, and where did the devil come from? And all these things are questionable. But it still goes into the facts that there may be things that people, as the government, and certain people know certain things. And I believe that it's important for all to know, like, especially when it comes to like how the fact of this being a serious matter, like spirituality, magic, all these things are serious matters. They got white magic, black magic. All these things are serious matters, which sometimes can be detrimental to society, right? So the fact that our government, and there are certain people like who are higher ups, have money, and not only have money, but mainly the people who are higher in the hierarchy, they tend to have certain knowledge, and they tend to not inform the citizens, which this goes into the whole fact of people not knowing, like citizens not knowing certain things or understanding certain things, and the government having knowledge of existence of spiritual beings, like like they know knowledge of the spiritual matters. So the government knowing these knowledges, and some of these people knowing these knowledges, and not teaching those of us who come from being poor, and I mean money doesn't really have anything to do with it, but poor people mainly are the ones who, for some reason, we tend to lack of this knowledge, and a lot of our families tend to lack of this knowledge, and tend to be like followers of whatever is being told that they must follow. But the thing about this is that it's detrimental to the youth, Like, because like a lot of us, we were just young, and we was young, and we learn about religion. We learn about religion, and we learn about all these things, and we take it lightly. Like, like for instance, you think that you sin, or you're young, or you just turn to God. I know I thought that, like, oh, you just turn to God and things would be all right. Like, that's what I used to think, and and I used to think of this as something so small. I didn't really think of it as something big until COVID-19 and all of these things. And I find it kind of strange. I didn't think of it to be anything big. I just looked at it as turn into God, and things would be better. But it's like it's so much more to it, and that's the thing. It's like that's the problem, is that it's more to it than the simplicity which we've been taught in church. Church make it all seem so simple. They make it all seem so simple. They even teach our parents in the simple ways, and they make everything seem so simple. But then there is so much knowledge besides what we've been taught in church about, oh, you sin, you do something wrong, you repent for it, all that. There's so much, way more knowledge. Like, you know, knowledge about slavery, knowledge about independence, knowledge about sovereignty, and there's knowledge about many things that it's really important for the soul and the spirit of mankind, and for especially the youth, the youth, man, because we always once youth, and that's the thing. Young children, young people don't know anything, and that's where I came from, not knowing nothing. And a lot of young folks don't know nothing, and some would be like, is their parents to blame? But sometimes their parents don't know nothing. Like, you have to look at the whole manner of slavery. You got to look at how they kill people parents and stuff. They used to kill the people parents, and we ain't only talking about African American slavery. There was multiple slaveries and multiple hierarchies in societies and different civilizations from different countries. All over there's hierarchy, and hierarchy is like the number one thing in all countries, all societies, civilizations, you know. And this is the thing, is hierarchy. So what tends to happen is that a lot of the ones that are higher up, they kill people's mothers and fathers, and they take their children. And when they take their children, after they kill their parents, they teach them whatever they want them to know, and they guide them. Now think how detrimental that can be if someone is to kill your parents, and then they teach you, and then when you get older, you have children, and then you teach your children what they taught you, and then the cycle continues. Now, your parents, your parents, your parents, the ones who was killed, they might know something that you don't know, the child. So you being taught from these people who are the oppressors, and that comes in many shapes and forms. I'm not speaking on African American slavery. I'm talking about society, hierarchy in society, and I could be talking about the leaders, or who, the leaders would be like the government or whoever it is, whatever leaders is in that civilization, and they have power or money. They do certain things like kill people's mothers, fathers, and then they take up those children and they teach those children. And now those children who lost their parents, and they are taught by their parents' killers, and by the oppressors. Now, what good is that for those children? And what is good is that for when they have children. And that's exactly what goes on. And that's exactly what goes on. And that's a problem right there. You know, it's a problem because now I think it's like if if this happens in our societies where hierarchy exists and those who have money and are rich and all these things, they kill off parents, they kill your mother, your father, then they take control of you and all this type of stuff. This is all wrong because now it's like your mother and your father is your number one teachers and they gonna care for you. No stranger's gonna care for you like your mom and your dad. You know, so if someone kills your parents and then they take you and take care of you, they're obviously not gonna care for you as your parents would. They're not gonna teach you the things that you should know. You know, they'll teach you what they want you to know, and that could be detrimental. You know, it's obviously detrimental if they're killers and they kill your parents. So it still goes into how this is the societies that we live in, where it's like violence, you know, guns, you know, all these things that goes on in these societies. And this is a big problem. This is why I always say I question God, because it's like I look at this, I like look at that, man. That's not even a joke, you know. Killing people's parents, taking control of the children, uh, making the children become slaves or workers, indentured servants, you know, and doing these type of things, and that person has no rule over himself, but he's under the authority of those people, the oppressors, or you know, these type of things happen in societies, you know, and it's not good, and it's happening all over, especially with us. A lot of us, man, we look at things as like I said, spiritual matters, man. Knowledge is a lot of knowledge you must learn. Knowledge you must learn. And not only that, even when it comes to working, you could look at something so simple as getting a job. A lot of people look at just getting a job so simple. We all go and we just go and get a job. But you ever thought of who you working for? You know, it's like these things we never question. Even as a youth, I never questioned none of this. Like if I was to go for a regular job, I'll just go for a job, you know. But after coming to understandings, which I understand, is that who you working for, you know? Who are they working for? Who are they dealing with? You know? Like we might look at it like it's nothing. You could work in freaking Staples. Who Staples is a corporation, his whole business. Who Staples working for? Who they could link to, who they connected with, you know? You just don't know anything, you just working for them, and the thing is, it's not even about just working for them. It's that you give your information, you know? You give your information and you give your information up to people, complete strangers. You don't know anything about them. Just think about that one. Just imagine giving up your information to complete strangers. That's the problem, you know? It's like your information is your privacy, you know? Certain things is your privacy. It's really private. But you over here giving someone your private information, and words are powerful, like things like such as your names. Someone could take your name and curse you. Take your name and curse you. You know what I'm saying? Like because your name, it's connected to your soul, your identity, you know? Like it's not something so small as going to a job and signing up and putting your name there, you know, giving your name up. That's your identity. That's connected to your soul. That's what you're known as. That's the vibration that you came off and you've been known of. You know, they say words is powerful, and like magical and all these things. And so this just shows you that a lot of things we see as simple is not as simple. And not only that, we live with such as a hierarchy, governments, and these things where it's like some of these people know certain things, man. And then it's like, this is how you know, that's how you know that the system is unjust, because the fact that you guys know certain things, and it's a lot of us citizens out here that don't know certain things, it's easy for you guys to just mess with us and do certain things to people. That's wrong, completely wrong, and it's like, us the people, we have no form of protection. We can't fight, we can't do anything. If you was to go and pick up a gun, they would consider as illegal, but then it's like they have weapons and stuff like that also, and they can just attack you or come after you or with weapons and stuff. And it's like, but if you was to pick up a weapon, it would be illegal. Which I don't even condone violence, and I don't condone weapons. I speak against weapons, but it's just a fact of that simplicity of how the government is unjust, and it says that they are for justice. We're supposed to have a system that is for justice, but there's a lot of unjust things, a lot of unjust situations. Like, there's so much unjust, things that's happening to people, families, and all of this, which is unjust, and it's a lot they won't tell you. Knowledge they won't tell you. It's unjust, because if someone doesn't know certain things, and we dealing in this world, and we all live in the world together, we sharing the world together, you can't tell me that's not my business. You know what I'm saying? Then they can't tell you that it's not your business. You didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be born, and none of us asked to be born. So if there's something going on and I don't know, and it's affecting me, affecting my family, and you tell me that's not my business, something's wrong with you. That's my business, because obviously I'm a part of the world that we're in. We're all a part of this world. So anybody telling you it's not your business, yeah, it actually is real business. It's all of our business, because we're all in this world, and we didn't actually be born, but we're born. So if we're born here, and we see things happening, and we want to know what's going on, it's for us to know, because if we don't know, then obviously that's a problem. It could be detrimental to society, and that's the problem, but if we do know, and we all already know, just think of the balance that can happen. Think of that's a society of justice, a society of fairness, a society where all is informed. That's how you know we live in a society, because not all is informed about certain things they should be informed of, and that's how you know that's not a good. But if we always informed from young, if people was taught certain things from young, spiritual matters, because we live, spiritual things should be the first thing. They teach you all this in school, which is like, some of it is like you don't even really need that in the real world, like the real world, the spiritual world, and the real stuff. Like, school cannot save me, save my soul and my spirit, so spiritual matters is the number one thing for all youths to know. Like, fasting, understanding spirits, understanding the good and the evil, understanding God, if it really be an existence of a good God, as they told us that a good God exists, and all these things, which, I'll be honest with you, I believe that there is a pure, good God conscience that we all come from, the first beginning spirit. But surety of it, have proof of it, I don't have proof of that, so But I can say I do believe there may be existence, but sometimes I question because of the way the world is set up. So it just makes me like, damn, I don't get this, because life just is very unfair. It's like the way how stuff just goes is be so unfair, you know. And so yeah, I just put that out there, man. Like, you know, speaking on my ends and just letting it be known, man. And I mean, these people, they constantly put pressure on me, man. Put constant pressure on me and threatening me and all this negative stuff. And it's like, man, what's the sense of being negative? And if you guys are supposed to be good or just or whatever the case is, and if that's not the case, just let the people know the truth that you guys, let them know your agenda and your intentions. Let all the citizens know. That way, you know, let it be clear, because there's all this accountability, justice, and all this fighting and conflict and race wars and all these things, but it's just like, man, there is solutions, and the solution is the truth to all, knowledge to all, you know, awaken to all, you know, from young, because it's not fair. That's not right. A lot of this stuff is not right, you know. It's not fair that some know, some don't know. That this is not good. That means if you know something I don't know, you could take advantage, you know, like that. You can use that to your advantage, and that's what happens. People use knowledge sometimes about spirituality, certain things, to their advantage, in the use of taking advantage, like, no. And I'm not saying as if I'm perfect, but I don't see myself as I ever dealt in that manner. I just found myself in a position where it's like misunderstanding and sort of confusion because of the many theories that's out there and the many understandings and insights on spirituality that's out there. Like, it's not necessarily as a solid foundation, but it's a learning. Everything is learning, you know, constantly learning. Nah, I don't know it all. Nobody knows it all. Nobody knows it all, and nobody knows nothing. So you can't call someone smart or intelligent because I don't know it all. Like, that just boosts one ego if you tell them, oh, you're smart, you're intelligent. I don't call myself in certain areas of understanding and knowledge. And I wouldn't call myself dumb either. And I don't think it would be necessary to call someone stupid or idiot. This is all ignorance and immaturity, and it messes with people's pride, you know, ego and pride. You boost someone's ego by telling, oh, you're so wise, you're so smart, you know. Sometimes people can gas you up and try to say, oh, you're chosen, you're this, you're special, you're this. They say that because they just want to gas you, they want to mess with your ego. But you have to keep your ego in check, because your ego could be detrimental to you also, and your pride also. So sometimes you tell someone they're stupid or they're dumb, their pride will get to them, you know. And that is also detrimental. Pride, ego, you know. But there are people in this world that will manipulate your pride and manipulate your ego. And we all deal with that. So yeah, like, this world is a crazy place.
I done seen a lot of shit that's strange. Nah. Strange. I'ma call it strange. I done seen a lot of shit that's strange. Then I seen a lot of shit that changed though. Got me looking at from different angles. Man, I swear to God that I got angels. I done seen a lot of shit that's strange. Man, I done shit that made me change though. Man, I swear I seen a different angle. Man, I swear to God that I got angels. I done seen a lot of shit that's strange. Seen a couple things that made me change though. Man, I swear to God I'm different angels. No. Man, I swear to God that I got angels. I done seen a lot of shit that's strange. I seen a couple things that made me change though. I had to change my life into another angle. And God protect me, man, I got his angels. I done seen a lot of folks that hate, but I just constantly just get that cake though. Ain't never focus on who and fake though. I'm tryna get that money, change my angle. I done seen a lot